Um, One of the things, hopefully, that you're learning by today's venture, particularly if you were here the last time, 14 years ago, when the Roundtable did the Atlanta campaign trip. There's a lot more to do here, and this is just yet another example of that. At that time, the preservation of a part of the Resaca battlefield was underway. Ken Paget and the Friends of the Resaca battlefield have been long working on this project, not only where we are right now at the battlefield more broadly, but it has been a long project, right, Ken?
Yes, sir. a lot of good help, though.
Yep. That's right, and things have finally begun to really come to fruition, and there's a lot more of this battlefield that you can see and explore now. And we are on the edge right now of the property that the state of Georgia has acquired and has done some development on, as you will see, and Gordon County and the Friends of the Resaca battlefield and its members are the ones who are operating this battlefield park 3 days a week now. And while it doesn't preserve all of the battlefield, it does give us a great deal of access. And one thing that it provides us is this vantage point, particularly for us today, because there isn't other traffic on the other road that we can use, because we are looking westward towards the critical hills for the approach of the Federals, both on the 9th day of May, when James McPherson's men first appear out of State Creek Gap, about 6 miles to the west of where we are right now, and they approach in this direction. Grigsby's Kentucky Cavalry Brigade, after it had been learned on May the 8th that Federals had seized State Creek Gap, Grigsby's Brigade is sent overnight on the night of the 8th, in the early morning hours of the night, from Dove Gap, where I talked about them helping Stoughton Geary on May 8th. They ride down Rocky Face Ridge, and on the morning of May the 9th, they arrive at the eastern exit of State Creek Gap, just as the head of McPherson's column emerges from State Creek Gap. McPherson's column is screened by his own small body of mounted force, the 9th Illinois Mounted Infantry, and they ride out and immediately make contact with Confederate cavalrymen. Few shots are fired, but Grigsby has the advantage of numbers at that particular moment. The Confederate cavalry will charge and send the 9th Illinois Cavalry reeling back. In the process, its commander, J.J. Phillips, will be wounded and sent to the rear. But just at that moment, for the 9th Illinois Cavalry, up comes the Western Sharpshooters, the 66th Illinois. About half of these men, out of their own pockets, have purchased Henry repeating rifles, and that added firepower will stop Grigsby's cavalrymen and throw them back, and it will allow the 9th Illinois to reorganize, and it will also allow some of Dodge's troops to begin to deploy, and the Federal advance will resume. Now, you'll remember earlier today I said that James Canty has not been well. Well, the first reports of Federals out to the west are not believed by Canty, and as the Federals approach, he finally responds. At this time, Confederate defenses here at Resaca are pretty limited, mostly oriented towards guarding the Western Atlantic Railroad Bridge. But Canty will send one of his regiments, the 37th Mississippi, out to the west, and they'll begin skirmishing with McPherson's advance. They will be driven back by the overwhelming number of Federals, and in fact will suffer a fair number of casualties. But that afternoon, McPherson's men will drive the last of the Confederates back from the west side of Camp Creek that runs in the valley here, across the field where the line of brush is, along its banks.
The overpass goes over.
Yep, the overpass goes over Camp Creek down there. You can pick it up. The creek begins way up there to the north and flows southward. But they'll drive the Confederates over Camp Creek, and McPherson's men will arrive on the hilltops on the other side of Camp Creek. They are oriented on the historic alignment of the road. The modern alignment of the road to State Creek Gap is Georgia Highway 136. Civil War alignment came down just a little bit to the north. In fact, as you look across here, you look at the house and its garage to the right, you can see the evidence of the driveway going up between the house and the garage. That is the historic alignment of the road. Yep, and then the road passes down just beyond the garage and comes down and to the banks of Camp Creek. Anybody know why there is a row of vegetation right there? Why there is a power pole that lines up with another one on the other side of the interstate? That's the historic alignment of the road right there. The remains of a 20th century bridge over the creek are down here. If you were to walk down, actually today, you'd probably need a boat to get down there, right, Tony?
You can see it in places on the side of the
bridge. The person's men will take position on the crest of those hills. And they'll look towards the Confederates who are in defense here. What's here for the Confederates? Canby's brigade that has been moved from Mobile to Rome and now here to Resaca. The 66th Georgia Infantry has been sent down here to garrison the fortifications. And the other part of Daniel Harris Reynolds' brigade en route from Mobile to join the Army of Tennessee. There are about 4,000 Confederates here to defend this position. McPherson will have troops. Will put troops into action, and will begin to press this. The small cavalry detachment that he has in 9th Illinois, he sends one company off, trying to get up on the Western Atlantic Railroad to the north to break the telegraph line. They'll actually do that. They'll cut the telegraph line. And that's all they did, was cut the telegraph line. They didn't cut a section out of the telegraph line. They just cut the telegraph line. And shortly thereafter, 2 women will come along and find the telegraph line cut and decide that's probably not a good thing, and will fix the telegraph line and put it back into operation. You know, what might have been the effect if they had cut a big section out of the telegraph line? But that afternoon, McPherson will actually send 2 brigades coming off of the hill across Camp Creek and moving off this way to strike the railroad north of Resaca. By one of those officers' accounts, their skirmishers reached the rail line north of Resaca when all of a sudden the recall is sounded. McPherson has lost his nerve. Why? We'll never know for certain. At least I haven't discovered that. He never offers any observations. And Ed may know.
Well, my feeling is McPherson is an engineer. He's very cautious, and everything he does is very cautious. Engineers are worried if you build a bridge or a workshop. McPherson wants to leave shot on the line.
I think one thing that weighs on him is that in coming from State Creek Gap to here, he has crossed 3 north-south avenues of movement, 2 roads and an unfinished railroad. And what's up there 15 miles? Joe Johnston's Army of Tennessee. In fact, where had Grigsby's cavalry come early that morning? They come down the road at the eastern base of Rocky Face Ridge. I think the further he got out away from State Creek Gap, the more he was concerned that he was going to be cut off from State Creek Gap. The few wagons that he has with him, the few wagons he has with him, he's left in State Creek Gap. But he lost his nerve that afternoon. And he turned around late that afternoon, order the men who are in position on the hills here, behind those hills, to build large campfires to create light coming from behind those hills as if the Federals had gone into bivouac. And he'll then turn around and march back towards, not all the way to, but towards State Creek Gap. He goes across the crossroads of the Dalton-Calhoun Road. He goes across the unfinished railroad bed. Those of you all who've driven this before between State Creek Gap and here, the railroad that you cross out there, that railroad has been built, that's where the unfinished railroad was at the time. The Dalton and Selma Railroad, the Dalton-Jacksonville and Selma Railroad had many variations of the name over the years. And he went back to the crossroads of the Dalton and Rome roads. There he bivouacked on the night of May the 9th. Why is this so critical? What message had he sent to Sherman about midday on the 9th? I'm within just 4 or 5 miles of Resaca. How does Sherman interpret that message when he receives it? That he is going to fall on Resaca.